if a woman cheats, I'm not saying she's cheating because she necessarily has an emotional attachment to the person she cheats with.
Right.
I'm saying if she's open to be having sex with a different guy, she is emotionally less invested in the current relationship.
But I would argue that so is the man then. If you love somebody, you do your best to not hurt them. It's not so much the act of you stepping out, it's the fact that you actually had the audacity to stand there, come back home, lie to me, tell me you love me, lay in bed with me after you've just spent time with somebody else.
A man who steps out isn't stepping out because he doesn't love his wife. He's stepping out because he's just trying to get one off.
No. I'm not having it. It's an excuse. It's an excuse.
It's not an excuse. Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this seat, which means I have a really good conversation lined up for you today. Obviously, here on this channel, we talk about all things dating, seeing what knowledge and tools we can give you to help you find what it is you're looking for. So without further ado, please welcome Paris to the show. Hey Paris, how you doing?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How's your Sunday going?
Pretty chilled actually for a change. So I'm ready to go.
I actually did an IG live with Paris. It was 2 weeks ago?
I think a couple of weeks
ago. And we chatted about some really cool stuff. So I'm going to jump right in.
Okay.
You're a mother.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
And are you single?
I am, yes.
So as a single mum, how would you describe the dating landscape in 3 words?
In a generalistic approach or me personally?
Let's do both.
Both?
Yeah. So let's go general first.
General?
Yeah.
I think I would say probably going to be more difficult.
Okay.
3 words. I'm trying to think of literally words. I'm going to have to navigate more mindful. So difficult. Be more mindful.
Yep.
And maybe expectation would be a word.
Okay.
I can expand, but I'm trying to keep it to just words.
Okay, so let's start with the expectation.
Expectation.
What do you mean by that? How is that different to when you were single, like before?
So before, if I was to date someone and they had a child, it wouldn't be a problem necessarily because it's not like, for me, it's not like a turn off or anything. But ideally, me being not having any children, my ideal situation would be to start a family with somebody who equally hasn't done it before.
Sure.
So that we go through all of that process together.
Of course.
So in terms of expectations, now I wouldn't necessarily be looking for someone who hasn't got a child.
Yeah.
Versus to before, where maybe I would have more actively looked for somebody who was childless. Right,
I see what you're saying. So would you say that your expectations in the kind of child part for them, like before you kind of you weren't really open to it, but obviously now?
I wasn't closed off from the idea of a man who had children. Yeah. Because in my head it's like, in a way, it's like a flip of a coin. Because in a way, it's like, okay, I can see how he parents his children.
Yeah.
I can see how he prioritizes them or doesn't, for example. So you do have an insight into how he fathers his children.
Yes.
Which could be beneficial to you if you plan to have a family with him.
Of course.
But equally, for me personally, I just, in my mind, wanted to have that family unit where it was just me, father, the child, Thresh. There's no other. I mean, we don't know what the child's mother, for example, could be like. And the other external influences. Yes. So I think if you're able to kind of control that to the best of your ability, that's the strongest advantage that surely you would be in. Yeah, no, 100%. That makes sense. So yeah, my expectations have now obviously changed. Like being a woman who has a child, I can't necessarily be searching for a man who doesn't have a child. Because I can't offer the same. Yeah. So I guess my expectations now are a bit different in terms of a man. Yeah.
What about the you said being mindful?
Being mindful, yes. Yeah. So there's a lot of things again that come into play. Yeah. So one, at what stage do you introduce this person to your child?
Very true point.
And then even after that, what do you do if they don't get along or he doesn't make the effort to gel with your child?
Yeah.
Do you continue to go because you've already invested so much time, or do you just be like, do you know what, this isn't going to work because my child comes first?
Yeah, of course.
So you do have to be mindful about the whole dynamic of this new relationship that you're
of course
venturing into. Also, who you are bringing around the child, like what's their mindset like.
How long for you would you say that date a guy before you'd introduce him?
It would have to be a long time because it would have to be a good long while because you don't want your child to be like being introduced to somebody and it's lasting a few months and you introduce them to someone else because it didn't last.
Of course.
So I think for me it'd have to be a long time. I'd have to see that this person is committed to being there because I think stability and routine is always good for a child. So having someone coming in and out of your life is never going to be a positive thing.
Of course. So
I would say a long while, like after I've met their family, they've met my family.
Yeah.
And then...
What about...
But this is why I say you might go very far in,
and then
it doesn't plan out the way you think.
Because of that,
it is kind of like a navigating situation.
There's more balls to juggle. Essentially,
definitely.
When you're doing that. What about when do you tell a guy that you have a child?
For me, I'm very happy being a mother. So I know there are some people who feel like there are some women who feel like they've tainted themselves by having a child, and I know there's been a generalization, and I've heard things like single mothers are leftover goods and things like that, and that's fine. People can have that view on single mothers.
Sure, it's a bit of a harsh way to be putting that, but
it is a harsh way, but everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Sure.
At the end of the day, I'm very happy with my life how it is at the moment.
That's good.
And there's nothing greater for me than my son. Yeah. So for me, like, it's not something I shy away from.
Yeah.
I'm very open about the fact that I'm a mother.
Yeah.
So from the get-go, I would... It will happen in conversation quite naturally, I think. I think it's something that men ask anyway. Yeah. From when you start talking and conversating, or
do you think men ask, or do you men ask?
Yeah, I think,
I feel like it depends on the age.
Oh, I don't know. Now you've said that, I'm just like thinking, I think it just comes up in conversation. Like, even if someone's like, oh, what are you up to? If I'm with my son, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm just, I don't know, I'm doing some shopping. I will be like, oh, I'm at home with my son, we're just watching a film. Of course. So it just comes into the conversation naturally. And sometimes I might be like, oh, you have a child? I wouldn't expect you. You don't look like you have a child. Of course. How does someone look when they have a child? Which is another thing. Like,
that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's true. I mean, like, you are quite young face looking. So, she got it. She got it. So, what's something you'd like to bring to the table?
For me, I think a relationship should always be like a give and take, like an exchange, for example. So I like to be with someone who I feel like I can emotionally grow with, spiritually grow with. Yeah. I can learn from them, no matter what it is. Like, if it's just like the business mindset, like they're quite business savvy, like I'm like, yes, teach me more, I want to know more. Yeah. So I would like to hope that whoever I'm with can also learn from me. Yeah, of course. And I think, so I'm quite free-spirited. Yeah. I have quite an open mind. Like, I think about things maybe not so much how other people would. Mm-hmm. I like to try and place myself in different people's shoes and think, oh, like, why do they think that way, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's a good quality to have in order to spark debate and conversation, plant seeds, and you don't know what can like blossom from that.
100%. So I have a question. You say you're quite open-minded, free-spirited. Would you be in an open relationship?
I doubt it. I highly doubt that.
No?
Nah.
Would you... is that he could never be open on his side?
I just think if you're going to be in a relationship, you be in a relationship and you be committed, or you just simply just stay single, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, because I think there's always somebody who's happy to take that option. Sure. There's people who want to be committed and in a committed relationship, both men and women, and there's also women or men who want to just be able to have that companionship and do what they want to do with other people when it suits them. Yeah. And that's fine. And I think when when you start to blur the lines because you're mixing these two people together, this is the problem, because then we get destruction and then we get trauma and then
chaos.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
Then we end up in situations like now where dating is pretty much
that's it.
It's a minefield.
It's true. So speaking of that, what's one thing that you want us to talk about? What do you want to bring up? Something that we can talk about dating today.
So for me, one of the topics that always comes up is obviously cheating.
Sure.
And it's kind of like a double standard. I've heard men be like, oh, we know, or if I cheat, it's kind of like my biology. I need to go spread my seed. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But if a woman cheats on me, that's it. That's the end. So I'm just like, where does this come from?
Yeah.
We can delve into this because there's probably a lot of avenues and questions which are
okay. So first thing I will say is, cheating is lying, right? If you say you're going to be exclusive and you branch out of that, that's lying. That is not okay for anyone to do, right? If you say something, do it. Be a man of your word or a woman of your word. Now, the whole thing of maybe it's different if a man exercises sexual options compared to a woman. It's the whole thing that, sperm is cheap. So men want to spread it, right? Whereas eggs is expensive. It's quality, not quantity. That's tied in with the fact that men very easily, not that women can't do it, but men, it's more in men's nature to separate emotions from sex than it is for women. Generally speaking, if a woman is having sex with a guy consistently over time, she's most likely to develop an emotional bond with him, which is natural and it's a beautiful thing. Whereas a guy can be having sex with a woman over an extended period of time and not be emotionally tied to her. Do you know what I mean? And I think the main thing, I think here's what the main thing is when guys are like, oh, if a woman cheats, it's game over. Because a man can have sex with one woman but still very much be in love with whoever he's with. Right. I think you'd be very hard pressed to find a woman who would be having sex with a different man when she's in love with the man that she's with.
Do you think? I don't think that's the case.
I think it's a generalization, but I think generally if a girl has been in a relationship exclusively and if she cheats, it's because she's emotionally clocked out of her current relationship. Whereas a guy can be happy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He goes on holiday and then he's with a boy, just like, oh, I'll just do this, no one find out. And that's not okay. Neither is okay. But a woman cheating, I think, more significantly compromises the relationship emotionally. Whereas a guy, people cheat for different reasons. Yeah. But I'm saying when people say, oh, guys cheating is different, that's the foundation in which they're coming from.
But I know you're saying it doesn't excuse it.
Yeah.
All right. But then what about, this is where it's a bit awkward because we're talking about how women are modern day women and the city girls, all this stuff, right? They just got out there living their best lives, doing whatever.
Yeah.
There has to be an element of there is no emotional attachment to a woman that can do that.
As in a woman's not emotionally attached to sex.
Yeah, a woman who's just able to go and meet a guy, have a one night stand, there can't be any emotional attachment to that person. They're just having sex, just purely to have sex. So there's definitely women out there who are able to have sex without, like you said, like very much in terms of the same mindset of how a man would when he cheats on his girl.
So go on.
So the question I have is, why do men be like, if she does it, that's it, it's game over? Like they can't. It's unacceptable, but then for a woman, we must learn to accept it.
Well, you don't have to accept anything you don't want to.
Well, no, that's true.
So, like, if someone cheats on you, you don't have to accept it. No one has to. Men have much harsher standards for cheating than women generally. I think that is true. In regards to women who can go out and have casual sex a lot, and they can detach emotions from it for sure. In my experience, from what I've seen and observed, I've found less than a handful of women in my life who are very much happy having sex with multiple different guys for a long period of time. And in fact, cases that I've seen where a girl is like that, there's usually been some kind of emotional trauma and that's a coping mechanism. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a quote unquote hoe phase, right? Like people want to go out and fun, and that's very normal. You know, people, guys and girls do that. But to be having sex with different guys all the time for an extended period of time, from what I've seen, that is incredibly rare to be natural to a woman.
But that's different from being in a relationship with a man and spending like maybe 2 years with him, what's the word, and being loyal to him, and then stepping out once or twice to cheat, and then going back into the loyalty period of being with that man.
When you say it's different, what do you mean? Because
you're saying that women, when they cheat because it's an emotional attachment. But what I'm saying is, if that is the way that they maybe was, or they're able to engage in sex without an emotional attachment, right? And then they cheat on their partner.
Yeah.
And they turn around and say, do you know what? It didn't mean anything. A man is not hearing it.
Oh, okay. So if a woman cheats, I'm not saying she's cheating because she necessarily has an emotional attachment to the person she cheats with.
Right.
I'm saying that if she's open to be having sex with a different guy, she is emotionally less invested in the current relationship.
But I would argue that so is the man then.
No, not Sarah. No.
But then I feel like if you love somebody, you do your best to not hurt them, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So then your best to not hurt them would be not to do the thing that couldn't cause them pain. And you know that if she was to find out, it's going to cause her pain, which is why men tend to lie about cheating. Yeah. I think a lot of the time, women, a woman...
Well, people lie about cheating.
Well, people, sorry.
Yeah,
that's not fair. I think a lot of the time, the pain comes from the deceit. It's not so much the act of you stepping out. It's the fact that you actually had the audacity to stand there, come back home, lie to me, tell me you love me, lay in bed with me after you've just spent time with somebody else.
Okay, but the thing is, what I would say is that a man who steps out isn't stepping out because he doesn't love his wife. He's stepping out because he's just trying to get one off. But
that's what I'm saying. No. I'm not having it. It's an excuse. It's an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
Of course it's an excuse.
Okay, do you think that, let me ask about women first. Do you think if a woman is utterly in love with her man, that she could have non-emotional sex, right, with someone else? Do you think she would actually have sex with someone else?
I think there are women out there that yes.
When they're in love with her man?
Yeah, I think I do. I think just like men can have be in love with their wife and look at someone else and find them desirably attractive.
Yep.
Then it comes to discipline, the respect that you have for your wife. Do I go and fulfill that need or do I not? And I think it's the same with a woman. A woman can be head over heels in love with her man, but Tyrone down the road's looking good tonight. And
she'll go with Tyrone for one night? No, I don't think so.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
I think she can find another guy attractive.
Right.
But to get to a point where she would actually have sex with him.
Yeah.
When she's in a relationship that she's very happy. Okay, let me ask you this. When a man and woman start dating, right, who usually asks for being exclusive first? The man or the woman?
In my experience, it's been the man. But generally speaking, I think it would more likely be the woman.
Okay, so it usually happens where it's the woman, right?
Yeah.
Because when a woman's dating a guy, a lot of the time, when a girl's dating a guy, she likes him and they start having sex, she tends to get narrow vision. She's not interested in having sex with anyone else. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
Men is not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
If it was the same, why would women get narrow vision when they're having sex with a guy that they really like? Why would they get narrow vision sexually? Why would they not continue having sex with other guys that they find attractive? The same way men do.
I think a number of reasons.
Okay.
One is that I don't think it's good for women to be sleeping around anyway. So I'm not trying to promote that it's okay for women to cheat and blah blah. I'm just trying to promote the double standards here.
Yeah.
So I think if a woman does find someone who she's attracted to and she gets along well and she's already began this sexual interest and relationship with this person, it would be wise for her not to go and start doing it with everyone else.
But why does she not want to? Because women say, they're like, it's like, oh, I'm dating him, we're having sex, I don't want to sleep with anyone else. That's what a lot of women express. They're like, when I'm with a guy, I like him, I'm having sex with him, I don't want to sleep with anyone else. You ask a guy that, no, guys still want to sleep with other women.
Maybe they're just satisfied with one. Maybe one's enough. Maybe women are just not as greedy as men are.
I think it is different. And because it's different, when I think women's relationship to sex is very different for guys. Like, as a woman, you're very vulnerable, right? And, you know, there used to be, and I think it makes sense that women have much higher standards for sexual access than men do, because, you know, evolutionary speaking, the risk was much higher. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you got pregnant and you didn't have someone to look after you, like, it'd be very difficult to survive, especially as a vulnerable pregnant woman. So, because because the sex relationship is different, if we're talking about sexual cheating, it is generally different between men and women. Now, it depends why cheating happens. There's multiple reasons, right? Because sometimes men do cheat because they're not being emotionally fulfilled at home. And sometimes women cheat because they're not being sexually satisfied. That is true. But I do think that, yeah, if a woman cheats, emotionally, she is less invested in her current relationship to get to the point that she could, sorry to be crude, open her legs for someone else, which is a very vulnerable thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just always feel like when a man goes, oh, it's just like biological for me to spread my seed, I feel like it's a really cheap excuse.
It's not an excuse to cheat, but there is because of our biological makeup, sex has a different impact on men and women. That is true.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think men in this generation practice sexual discipline?
Men who, okay, are we talking about men who have multiple options? Because we know most men don't, right? Most men don't have options.
Okay, we have to exclude them, because if they don't have the options, then
which is the majority of men.
They're not going to be able to obviously do that.
Okay, so the small percentage of men who have many options.
Yeah, the guys that can have many options.
Yep.
Do you think that they're practicing discipline? Do you think that they're being as selective as they can be about who they choose to sleep with?
They are being more selective because they can, right?
Right.
So what I mean is, like, if we're talking arbitrary numbers and rating people, if a guy can be sleeping with 4 women at the same time, right, he's going to choose the most attractive 4 women that he has. Right. That are available to him as options. So he may not, whereas, you know, a lot of guys, like, you know, we know a lot of guys will just sleep with anything, right? The more options you have as a guy, the more selective you can be. But in answer to your question, sexual discipline, do you mean, I mean, that's a form of sexual discipline. Is it not?
Yeah. But do you think, like, rather than a man wait to find someone who they feel like they connect with and she's maybe like equally on his level in terms of, I don't know, like intelligence and comfortability, like just loads of different things that you would expect in terms of like someone who you'd be pursuing to date.
You mean seriously?
Yeah. Seriously. Why is it that men don't ever practice discipline in terms of, do you know what, I'm going to just be abstinent for 6 months, see what happens. If I find someone I like, then yeah, we'll embark on
what does he gain by being abstinent?
I think clarity, knowing exactly what he wants from a woman.
Why can't he know that while still having sex?
I just feel like whenever sex comes into the equation, things just become a bit more.
But sex is important to men, though, in a relationship.
Oh, I know it's important. I think it's important to both genders in a relationship. I just feel like people are just like having sex just because it's there.
I think they do it because they enjoy it. Men and women enjoy sex.
Yeah, right? But I just feel like it's just such a weird time. Even the way people talk about sex, it's just like so like meh, like degrading. It's just a thing.
I think there's less meaning to sex now than before.
100%.
That is true.
But the reason why I ask about practicing discipline, because men say they want women who are pure and virgins and stuff, but
they're contributing to the impurity of the pool of women.
Yeah, it's like they're not valuing it in terms of, you're not helping women to maintain that, firstly, and secondly is what happens if you get that girl, right? Are you willing to then wait, or are you going to continue to sleep outside of the relationship until she decides that she's ready to have sex with you? If you've never practiced discipline, you're going to struggle when you meet a girl who's pure and says, I don't want to have sex until we're married. That could be a year down the line.
So what I would say, so there's a couple of things there. What I would say is, not every man is going to be willing to wait, so that's the wrong girl for him.
But that's the girl he wants. He wants a girl who's pure, who doesn't open her legs.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so I don't think many men are looking for virgins.
Do you not?
No.
So all of the talk on the podcast I hear, men like, oh yeah, no, I just want a girl that hasn't slept around. She's pure.
Oh, I do think men want. I do think that men who have a lot of options.
Yeah.
Will only take girls who are more sexually selective seriously.
Yes.
That is true.
Yeah.
But I don't think men are looking for virgins.
Okay.
I think most men would prefer a girl have some experience.
Okay.
Right? Because not every guy's looking to teach.
Mm.
You know, I said this before in one of my other episodes that back in the day, for a guy, having good sex, not to sound crude, but it was about how tight she was.
Right.
If she's a virgin, she's obviously very tight.
Okay.
Nowadays, having good sex is having sex with a woman who knows what she's doing. Right? Because I say to guys as well, like, you can't expect a woman to be the best sex you've ever had, but she's never had any sexual experience. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. Right? So I don't think guys are looking for virgins the way they did back in the day, but they are looking for women who are more selective. Yeah,
of course. I would think that would be the right approach to have. Okay, well that's fair. I thought that men were literally looking like virgin is like number one.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I don't think. Not a lot of my male friends. I think would. But in answer to what you said before about guys saying, oh, they want a girl who's sexually selective, yet they'll be out here sleeping with all the girls, right, and doing the business. Men separate women into two categories, right? A girl that he would see casually, and a girl that he takes seriously. Casually, most women can go into that because he doesn't care about all these other things because for him it's not serious. Yeah. The girl that he's going to invest his life in, his standards are higher. That is true. So I understand it's like, oh, it doesn't make sense. You want a girl who's sexually selective, yet you engage with, and your engagement of casual sex actually promotes women to be less selective. But then it's on the woman to not behave in a way that, or present herself in a way that puts her into that casual box of his. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. I just feel like as much as all of these, like, men talk about all the things that they want, but they're not actually actively doing much to help make sure women stay in line.
What, as in that they're not doing anything to help women become the things that they want?
I just feel like men aren't necessarily doing things to help protect the purity of women.
But it's not the men's job to do that. It's the women's job to do that.
I think it's both.
No.
I think it's both.
No, because the thing is, like, when women express what they want in a man, women don't take it upon themselves to grow that in men around them. They're like, well, the guy has these things or he doesn't. If he does, I'll choose him. If he doesn't, then I won't.
That's not true. There are some women who will be with a man and will be with him and can see the potential in him and help grow his assets with him.
Yeah, but that's not what I mean though.
Oh, what do you mean?
What I mean is, like, she wouldn't choose a man that she didn't think has potential.
Okay.
And then be like, oh, I'm going to work with him. I'm going to
work to help him evolve, even if she cannot see it in the first place.
Yeah. Because there's another guy who does have it and she would rather choose.
Well, what about, like, for example...
Like, if a guy's not funny and she wants a guy who's funny, she's going to be like, okay, let me help you work on your funny game so you can become attractive to me. Like, that doesn't happen.
What about if you have a woman who's, let's say she's going back to the whole virgin thing again. She's a virgin. Yeah. And a man will know that she's a virgin and maybe sleep with her, but no intention to be in a relationship or anything with her.
Why does she sleep with him?
Why?
Yeah, because it takes two to tango.
Maybe he told her false promises. It was like, yeah, we'll be in a relationship, and then...
Does his actions reflect that? Like, well, hold on, but you
might not know till afterwards.
So did she want to wait till marriage?
In this scenario, I guess she hasn't, has she? Because she decided to sleep with him.
Then that's on her. It's not on him. Like, it takes two to tango.
I know it takes two to tango, but don't you think you should just be upfront and honest, rather than lie to a woman to get what you want?
Oh, I agree. You shouldn't lie.
This is what I say about protecting the purity, because in order to get what you want, you've sold this woman a dream. She's given you an exchange. Yep. And now you're not being a man of your words.
I completely agree. That is wrong.
So this is what I say about it's both people's responsibility, because I think if everyone was honest.
No, I don't think so. Because, okay, so here's the thing. Here's what I said. And I've said this to male clients that I've had. there are some girls who play guys for fools, right?
Okay.
They use guys for their time, money, and attention. Okay, if you're a guy and you keep getting played by girls, that's your own fault, because you've not learned your lesson, and you've not developed the competency enough to see that.
Yeah.
If you're a girl, you keep getting played by guys, that's your own fault. It is your responsibility to learn from your experiences, see what the warnings and signs are, right? Like, everybody shows their intentions through their actions, men and women.
100%.
So if you're a woman and you keep getting swept away by what a guy says, whatever happens to you, with all due respect, like, if you're not learning from your experiences, don't expect a different result.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So it's not, so in regards to what you were saying before, I completely agree that if a guy lies and misleads her and everything, he's a bad person for doing that, for sure, right? I agree. But it is still the woman's responsibility to develop the competency enough to recognize the good man from the bad. The same way it's the same for men.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm here. To teach women that.
I think it's a fair point. I do think it's a very fair point. But I just think it's equally everybody's responsibility. I think to just make sure everybody's living life in the best possible way that they can, like, rather than take advantage of people.
I agree, but here's what I would say, right?
Yeah.
If you make sure you're responsible for you, I make sure I'm responsible for me.
Yeah.
If everybody makes sure they're all responsible for themselves, we wouldn't have any issues.
Yeah,
because then the guys who try and play around with you, you'll be like, I see through that. This ain't working here, right? Instead of like, oh, you have all the power and you manipulated me and I'm a victim. Like, that's not saying that you can't be victims of situations. But what I disagree with is the whole thing of the power is in his hands to make sure you're okay. And it's not. It's in your hands. You have the power to do that. You have the power to decide what situations you get into, what kind of guys you deal with. Same with guys. Guys have the power to choose what girls they get into. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Did you want to ask something else? Or?
I think that was like the main kind of thing.
That's all right. Let me move on to another question.
All right, go on.
So in dating, who do you think judges more harshly, men or women?
I would say women judge more harshly, right?
Okay, why would you say that?
Because women, not all of us, but generally speaking, from what I've heard and been hearing from listening to different podcasts and stuff, they're not willing to give no men time of day if they don't meet certain criteria.
It's very true.
So it's like they've got like a tick list, and if these boxes are not ticked, then I'm not interested. Yeah. Whereas men, I think they're more forgiving. I think they're more like, for example, like if a woman's not got much in terms of a career, that's not really going to be off-putting for them. And I guess because they are usually the breadwinners, so in a way that...
I think men don't look to women to provide for them.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say that women are probably a bit more harsh and critical towards men.
Do you think women are harsher today than before? In their standards, or no?
Potentially, yes.
Okay, why'd you say that?
Because now women are in time and ability to be able to go and get things and provide for themselves. So then when they meet a man who's either doing less than what they are, it's like, okay, you're not good enough. Completely forgetting about everything else that the man has to offer. Yeah. Whereas before, a woman was maybe more dependent on a man than they needed to be nowadays. Yeah. So I think now they're a bit more...
I have a question, because the amazing thing about today is that women now are taking the positions that men have traditionally held, but they don't want to take the responsibility that comes with those positions. So women want to be the highest earner, which is great, but then as a result of being the highest earner, it means you're probably providing for other people, mostly your partner as well.
Yeah, true.
So why do you think women don't want to, and I think this actually, it kind of corners a lot of women, because a lot of the time a woman will want a guy on her level or higher. Well, the higher she goes, the less men that are eligible. Yeah. Whereas guys are happy to date down. Yeah. Economically and financially speaking. Yeah. Which means the higher a man goes, the more options become available to him. why do you think women struggle to date down? Why can they not? Why do they want to have the position and power that a man has traditionally had, but not accept the responsibility that comes with that? Because I'll be honest, like if a guy was just like, yeah, my dream is to be a house husband.
Yeah.
I don't know how many women
would be
on board with that
opportunity. I agree. I think it falls into how we would view a man. A man that wants to be a house husband, it's not what we've been taught to think. So it almost like it's not a very masculine role to play, is it?
No, it's not.
And I think so when a woman sees it, it's a bit like off-putting.
But then if a woman is a modern woman,
yeah,
I mean, I guess it's a new way of doing it, but
yeah. If it works for the family, I think you should just do whatever works for the family.
Yeah.
So if it is that the woman's making more money and the father is available to stay at home and look after the child.
Yeah. So she's got a son here. That's why she's got a son here.
He's not hearing any of this, by the way.
He's fine.
Then I think you work to your strengths, and I think this is why it's so crucial about who you choose to have a family with and who you choose to settle down with in the long run.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to like basically strip these roles that we've been taught to believe and use your strengths to your advantage.
I agree with you. I'm going to be honest though. I think our technology has evolved faster than our evolutionary biology, and I think that's why this conflict is happening, because it's only in the past few decades that women have been able to earn more than men, and actually, like statistically, women under the age of 30, single women under the age of 30, actually out-earn their male counterparts now. Okay. So women are starting to out-earn more than men. Yeah. Women are graduating more than men from university. They're more educated. So women are killing it in terms of the field, but it's been so recent in history and how we come to today in terms of mate selection, what we're attracted to, that is a result of thousands of years of evolution. So I think it's very difficult for maybe women to, I think it's very hardwired in women to want to choose a man who is their level and above in terms of his capability to provide security. That's not saying she can't do it for the relationship herself. She can. I just don't see many opting to choose that.
I don't think that would be many women's first selection, and I'm not sure completely entirely the reason why. Maybe it's a little bit of entitlement. Like it's a man's job to go out and work. It's a woman's job to stay home and basically take care of the home. Yeah. But like you said, equally, that's not what's happening. Yeah. So it's kind of like trying to unlearn behaviors and then like decode it or relearn something new. And I think they're kind of like, they're taking the benefits of being able to make more money and to be able to provide for themselves, but they're not willing to make the sacrifices that come with that. Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. I think that's what it is.
What do you What do you think it takes for a man to take a woman casually and then to take her seriously?
The main thing would be self-respect. Okay. If I was a man, I have a son, as you know, so for me, it's like I'd want him to find a woman who is self-respectable. Is that right? Yeah. Right.
What does that look like to you?
Her morals are in the right place. Her moral compass is in the right place. So she's not easily accessible. So she's selective with her time. She's selective with her energy. You're aware of what her circle is like because your company, you are the company you keep. Yes. She's ambitious.
What, career-wise?
Both. Like career.
Like family-wise?
Career, family, her own self. Like, does she wake up daily and try to make herself a better person than she was yesterday?
Yeah, no, that's
all
true.
Of these things are so important because everyone looks at what everybody has, but they don't look about like what's deeper. And you can have all these things, and these things can be taken from you. And then what do you have left?
Very true.
If you've got someone whose mind is switched on, and they're actually contributing, like even like, let's say for example, the husband's having a bad day. If you don't have a woman that knows how to practice gratitude and positivity and just to help someone switch their focus to like restart and be like, no, come on, you're gonna get this, stand back up, let's go, keep going. It's these things they're invaluable to me. I think so. I would say that would be the sort of woman that I would expect my son to take seriously.
Yeah.
And the sort of woman I expect him to take casually, which I don't want to think about, it's like...
Her son has 2 girls asking to marry him already, by the way, from school. She's telling me away here.
Exactly. He's 5, by the way.
Man's got it already. 5 years old.
And what was his response? He was like, I've told them yes, so they stopped asking me, but I am not marrying them because we are way too young. So I was like, okay.
You keep on it, young man.
Exactly. Yeah, so the ones I expect them to take casually would be like, basically the complete opposite to that. They go through life, they don't really care about much that's going on. It's like day to day, maybe like out partying all the time, quite happy to drink, posting everything on the gram, breasts out, mums out, all of that stuff. Like that's not the sort of person that I would want him to come and bring home to me.
Yeah.
Or to raise his children, because even that, it's like the mentality. That's not okay. Like, if you have a daughter, I wouldn't want your daughter to be behaving in those same ways.
Yeah, very true.
So I think it's just a reflection of what would you expect from a woman who's raising your child, or if you had a child, how would you expect her to behave? And that's the sort of person you should go for. Yeah,
no, I completely hear that. I agree. So on speaking for your son,
yes,
what are 2 things you would warn him about women as he reaches adulthood? Maybe warn's the wrong word. No, I'm gonna go with warn.
Educate? Warn.
Yeah, educate.
Educate?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this is a good one.
And I'll do one for my daughter about men.
Okay. I think going back to what you said about understanding, how valuable your time is as a man. Because obviously, as we know, your value a value for a man has to be kind of earned, so you earn it. So the time that you take to work hard at these things, to invest into stuff, it's valuable. So don't spend it all on chasing women, because that's time that you could be using to add to your own value.
Very true.
So I think that's one of the things I would warn him about. Like, basically not to get distracted, and like invest your time wisely.
Yes.
Because girls will always be around, but your time that you have to make yourself a valuable asset man into society is going to be limited. Yeah. The other thing did you say 2? Yeah. The other thing I would probably warn him about is, I'm hoping he's going to be a good, successful man. In which case you need to watch out, because there are girls out there who are doing everything like to try and trap these good men. So be very careful. And equally, like, even things like who you choose to sleep with, because there are consequences for that, or potentially there could be consequences for that. So know what you're getting into. Not everything that glitters is golden.
I love that. Not everything that glitters is golden. I love that. That's great. I'm gonna steal that one. What would I warn my daughter? I would say, I think it's just a reality of the world. I'm not saying it's fair.
Okay.
How you present yourself, it sets the tone of how people will treat you.
100%. I agree. I agree.
It's the way it is. It's the way it is, especially with men.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is, I would say that I would really advise, I'd be like, a man's investment is how much time he spends with you that's non-sexual. That's his real investment.
Yeah.
Don't think because a man will be sexual with you that's real investment. It's not.
Yeah.
That's sexual investment from men is cheap.
100%.
It's the emotional time that he spends with you where sex is off the table.
Yeah.
That's real investment, and that's a guy who's taking you seriously, is what I would say. Let me ask you another question. Do you think men and women sacrifice to be in a relationship? And if they do you think they sacrifice the same thing or different things?
Good question. I would say they do, but I would say different things.
Okay. What do you think women sacrifice?
So women... Okay. If we're talking about like marriage, starting a family, talking about in that capacity, or are we talking about literally just maybe like a casual relationship?
I think I was thinking more like a relationship before marriage.
Before marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe women don't sacrifice that much then, because I think before children come into play, you're very much free and available to continue working.
Very true.
Living pretty much the same life you would do if you were single as versus when you're in a relationship. I would hope if you are someone who doesn't go out just promiscuously having sex.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of getting into a relationship, maybe women don't sacrifice that much. It would literally just be like not getting attention from other males, not going out to dates with other people.
Right.
That's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah. Just sacrificing dates with other guys, maybe.
Yeah, and I think maybe for men, equally the same thing. I think at this point early on, it's just a situation of loyalty, really. Until you've got the commitments of children, having to raise children.
I think men sacrifice their freedom to have sexual options.
Yeah, but that's the loyalty aspect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but I think it's a very big one for men. It's a very big sacrifice. If a guy can have sexual options, it's quite a significant sacrifice to do that for one girl, I think.
But then, I think, okay, do you think all men want to sleep around, or do you think that there are men who want to be monogamous?
Both. I think men go through. I think most men want to sleep around with multiple attractive women. But I think when they start thinking about a family and legacy, they definitely want to be monogamous.
So then,
I think some men would rather have a relationship with one woman, with the right woman. I think that's true, actually.
So then, do you think the men that are choosing to make this big sacrifice that you're saying is such a big sacrifice, why don't they just choose a polyamorous relationship? Yeah.
Because if the woman that he's choosing, maybe she isn't open to one.
But then he's choosing the wrong woman. Why don't he choose a woman who's open to it? There are women out there.
Yeah, but I think it's more about it's more like, oh, even though I would like to have the freedom to sexually play, this woman is worth sacrificing that for, because I think she's such a value to my life that she's worth. I want her, and this is a sacrifice I'm willing to make for it.
But do you think then he's setting himself up because he knows how hard it is already? Right?
How hard what is?
The sacrifice to give up all the other women. Is he then just setting himself up because it's just a ticking time bomb until eventually he's going to do something?
No, I don't think every man is eventually going to cheat. Okay. If that's what you're saying. No, I don't think so. For some men, it's a significant sacrifice. For some, those it isn't. It usually because they don't have the options. Is the truth. It's the harsh reality. But no, I think if he finds, it's like, is it difficult? It's like, okay, is it difficult to lose £20,000? Like, yeah, that's a huge loss. But it's not difficult if it's towards a deposit on a house. Do you see what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
As in, like, it's a worthwhile.
Oh, as in you're giving. Okay, it's like an investment.
It's a worthwhile investment. It's part of the investment. And if he sees that, oh, she's worth it, then no, it's just part of it for him. I would say. Fair
enough. But then equally, you could argue that women, if they stay single, they can have this lifestyle. Like, can have guys. This guy will buy her this guy will buy her that.
Very true. That's part of the sacrifice.
And some women might say, oh, do you know what? I enjoy that lifestyle. I like going to get my hair done and my nails done on the expense of someone else. Yep. And if I choose to be with this man, I probably won't have that anymore.
That's very true. That's the sacrifice she makes.
It's very superficial, and I don't agree with it. But
yeah, no, it's true though.
On the grand scheme of things, like, I think, we both have to make sacrifices. But it is going back to what you said. Is the investment worth it?
Yes.
And if you get someone who you genuinely can go through life with, have a family with, and it works, and I would 100% give up those things in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, I don't even have to think about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I hear that. Is there something you want to ask?
So I had a conversation with a guy, and it was really interesting because we were speaking about this whole aspect of cheating again, right?
Yes.
And he said, and I never thought about it like this, when you have a woman and she's your wife, there's certain things you just don't want to do sexually to her, paths you don't want to go down with her.
Yes.
And so, therefore, you'd rather go down those things for somebody else and fulfill those needs somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is this something you've ever like experienced or can relate to?
Yeah. So what it's to do with is the more a man loves and cares about women, the harder it is for him to sexually objectify her.
Yes. Right.
Now that doesn't mean he doesn't want to do those things, but because he cares and loves her, it's harder for him to be like, oh, I just want to do this, whatever, right? He doesn't want to treat her like a porn star.
Yeah.
It's easier for him to sexually objectify women he doesn't care about.
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
I just wondered if that was just his take or whether this was something that men have in general.
No, yeah, it's true. It's like I've heard it before with, like on like TV or whatever, where you have married women, they've been married for like plus 5-6 years.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we have sex, but we've not fucked for a very long time.
Right.
Because there's a difference.
Yes.
They're like, in the beginning, do you know what I mean? And it's consensual objectification on both sides. But then the more a guy loves and cares about is like, especially if she's the mother of his kids, he has a more protective energy around her. And when you're gonna have purely lustful objectification sex, it's very much not protective. It's very much like it's like I want to take you.
Almost, yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So then on the flip side, what happens then if a woman's like with this guy and they're very comfortable and she then begins to want to explore new things, maybe she hasn't tried new things out. I guess either the guy's like, no, I can't do that, or they do it and then what, does he look at her differently? Is the relationship then potentially like...
No, I think if she wants to try new things out sexually, I think that's dependent on the guy and what he's comfortable with. Because I don't think it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's like, if he's like not open to something, it doesn't matter whether his wife asks him or some random girl does, he's just not open to it. No, I don't think that's the case.
I was just talking the aspect of like crossing that line that just doesn't get crossed.
Yeah.
Like what happens if that line gets crossed?
What line?
Just like, I don't know, she does something that's wild and he's just like, no, he just looks at her completely differently after that.
I can't think of a situation where she could do something that he just completely sees her differently.
Right, okay.
I think what's really important is there's nothing wrong with sexual objectification of your partner because that creates the chemistry a lot of time, or that can fuel the chemistry rather, right? Which is why when you're in a long-term relationship, it's good to go on dates, even have space from each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you know, fire needs space to breathe. So, I don't think there's anything sexually that she could randomly do that he'd be like, if he saw it differently, it could be in a good way. It could be like, oh, I didn't know you had that in you.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it could be that.
Yeah.
It could be that. I want to talk about the black community.
Okay.
Do you feel as a black woman, would you rather be with a black man or you don't really care?
My preference is a black man.
Okay.
I can't see myself being for anyone other than someone who's of black heritage.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Is it hard to find a good black man today?
Yeah. I don't even feel like I've dated enough, to answer that question.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't feel like I have. I feel like I know men who are good men.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Would I date them? Probably not.
Why wouldn't you date them when they're good?
I definitely know some men who are good men. I just feel like I don't really, at this particular point in my life, my focus isn't dating, so I'm not really looking at someone in that capacity, to be honest with you. But equally, I just feel like a lot of people are lost and confused and they don't work on themselves or what they want, and I don't want to be involved in it. That's the only reason why I'd say I wouldn't date them. Because I see a lot of people that are just, like I said earlier, walking through life.
Yes.
And not doing a lot of work on themselves. And that for me is really important in my partner.
Yeah.
If I come across someone who is like that, then yeah, I probably would.
Would you ever date? I know you said you're not looking to date seriously now. Have you ever dated someone casually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I think
Intentionally, casually, like you saw him, you're like, I'm attracted to him. We have good fun, but like, I'm not taking this guy seriously.
Do you know what it is? I think what it is was, we got along really well. The chemistry was great. But it's kind of like, how far can we go with this? Because some of our ideologies and stuff about life are just complete opposite. Yeah.
Right.
And so if I ignore that, then it's fine. But equally, it's like, I feel a bit like, well, am I cheating them? Because really and truly, like, so let's say it gets to a point where you want to have a family. One of us is going to be unhappy because the child can only be raised, like, let's say I'm God-fearing or I believe in God and he's an atheist and doesn't believe in anything.
Yeah.
Which
you don't
way?
have the same values.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where I think it falls down to. It's not necessarily the person.
Yes.
Sometimes it's to do with the practicality of where you're going, where you're moving forward to.
Very true.
And yeah.
Yeah. In regards to, like, you know, we're talking about practicality, right?
Yeah.
And I think that in marriage, I think that we can get lost in the feelings
100%, yeah.
a lot of the times. And it's not that marriage shouldn't have love, but I think marriage was originally about duty. And I think there are certain practicalities you do have to think about.
Yeah.
So my question to you, speaking of practicality, if you met a guy that I really want to marry him, etc., would you sign a prenup?
Yes. I think I would, you know.
You would?
I'm someone who's, do you know what it is? I know you have to, like, submit. Yeah. I know we don't like this
as
word.
a woman. Oh,
I know we don't like this word.
I feel like submit papers.
No, sorry. I know we don't like this word. But there is that element of, like, submission and trusting your man's judgment and things like that.
Depends on the kind of relationship you want, but yes, I agree.
But I have a bit of an uncomfortability, which is I don't like to feel like I owe anybody anything.
Okay.
Right, so I'm the sort of person, if I need something, I will find a way to get it done on my own before I just, like, go out and ask someone else. And I know it's something I probably will have to work on when I get into something. But again, it just comes from, like, I think if I've ever had to ask someone for something, I don't want it to be coming back on me like this, yeah? Like, I don't need to owe you anything. So in terms of the prenup, that would be a really great position for me to be in, because I won't feel like...
How would you owe him if you didn't get a prenup? You mean if you got divorced and...
I wouldn't feel... Yeah, like, because for example, like coming out of a marriage, for example, without the prenup, it's all the things that come with it, isn't it? Like the money, the house, all that stuff. I'm like, I don't want to feel like I have to stay in a marriage because he thinks I'm gonna leave just because of the money or whatever the case may be. Well, like, I want to have the freedom to go if I want to just come out of it because it's no longer healthy, for example.
No, I think it's not about that you don't have the freedom to go. It's just that if things did end and you wanted to go, you wouldn't get anything of his
collateral and stuff.
You wouldn't get anything of his. So you would literally, like, what you brought to the marriage
is
you
what
would
I
leave
go with.
Yeah.
It depends.
What does it depend on?
Like the sacrifices and stuff, in terms of, like, have I sacrificed my career and my money in positions that I could be in because I've chosen not to do that because you said you're going to go out to work while I stay home with the children?
See, I don't think that's an excuse, I'll be honest.
Why not, though?
Because you're making that choice yourself.
No, I might not. I'm not.
Well, unless he's forcing you, unless he's caging you up and saying you're not allowed to go out to work and have a career, you're making that decision. But
it comes back to the whole thing of, like, trusting your man's judgment, isn't it? If he's saying, babe, I want you to stay at home and just look after the children, I think that's better. But I think it's better that you stay home and look after the children than we pay for childcare for a stranger to come in and look after the children. I would choose to stay home with my children.
Oh, so you're talking about kids, sorry.
Yeah, we're in marriage now, so I'm hoping that we're in marriage to have a family, right? So I've had a child and brought a child into the world, so I would expect for either myself or the father to be dedicating time and attention and nurture for that child to be able to develop, especially in its early years of life. So that would be the number one priority for me, is one of the parents are at home with the child, rather than having someone external come in and do that.
So I understand that, but did you hear you said that's a priority for you, so you'd be making that choice?
Well, yeah, I guess I would then. I guess I would. If the option was we have someone who's completely outside of the family come in to look after our child versus one of the caregivers, the maternal or the primary or whatever caregivers, then yeah, I'm going to choose to have.
But then I don't think you should be compensated for that if you go separate ways, because that's a choice you made. Because I feel like what's that like saying? I get what you're saying. You're like, oh, well, we both decided that the best thing for what we want is for me not to work, which means I'm not earning money. So if we go our separate ways, I should be compensated for that. Whereas also, you could also say, okay, well, you also both decided that he's going to cover the majority of the bills, right? So the fact that he's paying for you and a child, there's a lot of money he's spending that if he was single, he wouldn't be spending. So should he be compensated for that? Nah, because he chose to do that for his woman and his family.
Yeah.
So like, plus as well, like you can go out and work. Like if you divorce, you can go out and get a job, and you can like. So I think that I understand the notion of, oh, I sacrificed my career, but I'm like, at the end of the day, unless you were forced to make that choice, it's a choice you made, and I don't think you should be. I don't think anyone should be compensated for it.
I get it from a man's point of view. I do understand it, and I'm probably failed to look at it in that regard. I just
because the thing is, I think being a stay-at-home mom, that is a luxury today.
Oh yeah, I get.
It's a luxury. Like most households need two incomes. Yeah. So if you're at a household where you have the luxury of not having to work because your man earns enough, and then to be compensated for that, I think that's taking the piss.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's taking the piss. But also equally, what happens afterwards? Like, say for example, okay, the mum hasn't got no money because she's been relying on the man's money.
That was her choice.
No, it's been an agreement between the both of them.
No, but like that's an agreement that she signed off on, is what I'm saying. She didn't have to do that if she didn't want to.
I just think it's going to create conflicts within the marriage and the family.
I mean, they're getting divorced, so like the conflict's already there.
She chooses no, but let's say she had chosen not to, which went against what he wanted, or what they wanted, for example. I just think it's going to create further conflict
within the marriage or in the divorce.
Within the marriage.
That what if she wanted to work and he didn't want her to work?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be something they'd have to resolve, but I think ultimately, like, he can't stop her from working if she wants to.
No, he can't, but it could create conflict.
Yeah, but it could also create conflict if he wanted to stop working and she didn't want him to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
It's like, because maybe she earns enough that he doesn't have to work. It's like, well, you earn enough. Well, I don't have to work. She's like, no, you should. I'm just saying we all have choices.
No, I know. I understand. To be honest, either way, like, because I'm single now anyway. So if I was to sign a prenup, I'm not going to be in any worse a situation than I am currently.
Well, there you go.
So, So but equally, I would be a bit offended if a man was like saying like, I want you to be my wife, but you need to sign this prenup. It doesn't sound good, does it?
I know it doesn't sound good.
It sounds like, okay, well, what's your intention then?
I don't think it's intention. I think it's more.
Well, there has to be a lack of. Yeah, it is an insurance, but then marriage itself, divorce is an insurance, because I think if you're getting married, you're meant to be in it for life. So
divorce is an insurance. Yeah, it is an insurance.
The fact that we have divorce already signifies that marriage doesn't necessarily work.
So then it's not unreasonable for him to ask for a prenup then. Okay, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. If you had worked hard your entire life and you were a multi-millionaire and then you would choose to marry a man who's on an average earning and you knew that if there was a possibility you divorce, he gets half of your empire, would you not ask for a prenup? You would ask for a prenup.
Yeah, but would that money that I lost...
Hold on, would you ask for a prenup?
Hold on. It depends. Because I'm having to think now, not just about myself and my ego. Would the money that I lose, would I feel it that much? If I've got such significant amount of money, I might not feel it. Equally, it depends on the reason for the divorce. If they've done something and I need to come out, I will be peed off and losing. Yeah, if they've now benefited from that, I would. But if it's a thing where
I think you'd be peed off if he didn't work a day in his life. You were a multimillionaire, and because he chose to leave, you had to hand him half of your empire.
But is it just choosing to leave? I know the laws have changed. You used to have a reason to have to come out of a marriage.
No, no fault divorce. There's no fault divorce.
Now there isn't it? So now you can just come out of a divorce just because you feel like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's different. Yeah, then I would be peed off. But equally, like, what happens do they use that money to help support the children, or are they just using that money just to
Half
go on
your empire.
holidays?
No, that's child support. That's separate.
Okay.
I'm talking about half your empire that you've built yourself.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You'd ask for a prenup, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Or I probably just wouldn't get married in the first place.
Interesting. So
yeah.
Basically, you just said if you were a very successful man, you'd be like, I just wouldn't get married.
What for then?
For kids.
But people are having kids outside of marriage all the time. Now.
Yeah, but I don't think that's...
It's not, I wouldn't say it's the best way, definitely not. But equally, like, nothing in life is guaranteed. This is the thing. Everyone's going by this blueprint. Like, if you get married and have children, it's going to work.
Yeah.
But this is just not the reality. There's so many different other factors. People change every day. People grow. I hope so. And so you can marry someone and think, yes, this is the person for me. And 10 years down the line, you're like, oh my God, we don't even recognize each other.
I agree, which is why I don't think a prenup is unreasonable to consider, because you may not be together forever. Like, that may be your intention today, but like you said, you don't know who they're going to be in 20 years' time. You don't know who you're going to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I don't think is unreasonable to have an insurance policy. And also, it's just like, so if it happens, there's no fighting, because you know exactly, okay, this is what's happening, this is what we agreed. That's
and equally, going back to what I said earlier, if I went into a marriage knowing I've signed a prenup, maybe my attitude towards staying at home with my child might change. Maybe I'll find a way to have an income where I can stay at home with the child and also make
if you signed a prenup.
If I was to sign a prenup.
Fair enough.
So maybe my whole attitude within the relationship and the marriage could change.
Yes.
I'm really on the fence about marriage myself.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much open to whichever. I think like I said, it's just the sound of it. Like, you want me to be your wife, but then you've got like, it's like you're already doubting it before we've even embarked on this journey. Well, like I said, that's what it is.
I understand that's how it looks, but I don't think it's like in doubting. It's just that there are certain things that aren't in our control, right? So no matter how much a man wants to choose you for the rest of his life, he can only be with you if you choose him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you may get to a point where you don't want to choose him anymore.
Yeah.
It's all right, you can have that. So I understand how it looks, but you know, we don't drive on the roads trying to have a crash, but we have to have insurance in case it happens.
Yeah, no, I agree. And to be honest with you, the way people are, some people have what's the word? Some people will string you along for their own gain and for their own benefit. So
yeah, it's true.
I mean, I don't trust a lot of people. I do not trust a lot of people. So if I had a lot to risk and a lot to lose, then yeah, I probably would. To be fair, I just don't really have to think about that because I am the gender where usually that's not the case.
Sure.
It's not really something that I've thought about too tough. But I think I'll be open to the idea of signing a prenup. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, guys, he asked me to sign a prenup. That's it, we're off. And if this is a guy that I generally I'm contemplating marriage with, I probably would be open to the idea. I think it would definitely spark quite a long conversation.
Yeah.
Because of what it looks like, and what it sounds like. I think just have to.
I hear that. Look, we're gonna wrap it up. Do you have anything else you want to bring to the table to chat about?
I think just from what I see,
yes.
Often whenever we talk about relationships and dating, it goes to, well, why are men like this? Or, well, why are women like this? Oh, but it's your fault. We see a lot of finger pointing.
Very true.
But we never see any accountability. And I think men are failing and I think women are failing. And rather than, obviously you've got to look at the cause and the root to kind of identify the problem and turn it around. But I just feel like we're only looking at the rules, we're only looking at the roots to like kind of shame rather than to actually fix anything.
So on that, what do you think one thing that women need to take more accountability on? And I'll say one thing that I think men need to.
Women need to be realistic about what it is exactly they want. In terms of, you say you want a guy that does all these things, like the nice guy, and then when you get him, it's not the guy that you want. It's the alpha, the one that's hardcore, but nice to you, that sort of guy. But then equally, he's probably going to be the one that brings a lot more of the trouble and the things that you don't want.
Very true.
So you can't have the best of both worlds. You're going to have to come to a place of just like a reality check, basically. You can have a nice guy that's going to treat you good and is not going to cheat on you and all that stuff, but then you have to make sure you have enough discipline, one, not to take advantage of him and walk all over him and actually respect him for what he does, or you have the guy that you say you don't want that you actually want, but then don't cry, don't complain when he's bringing drama to your door or whatever. Suck it up.
Yeah.
Deal with it, because that's what you want.
Yeah.
I don't think that saying of nice guys finish last comes just by mistake. I think it is definitely.
I agree.
I don't even know what it is why women are like that. I honestly think, like, I'm very mindful of the impact I have on people.
Yeah.
Because I believe in the universal attraction. Yeah. So I think however I treat other people, it's going to come back to me.
Yeah.
So if I am around someone and I feel like I am the alpha of that situation, I can control that situation and maybe even manipulate the situation.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go there. I won't do it because I don't want to be the reason that someone else is traumatized and then they pass that on to somebody else.
Yeah,
I'd sooner stay away.
Yeah, that's a beautiful mindset to have. I think more people think just more about what they want in the moment.
Yes, I think everybody is in a very selfish time.
Yeah.
So yes, in terms of women, what they can do better is, be realistic in what you want.
Yeah.
When you get it, don't abuse it, and rather than looking at all the things that the other gender are doing wrong, like start taking some of the accountability, looking at how can you improve who you are, what you offer, and listen to what men are telling you, what they want. And you don't have to agree, but you do have to, like, be mindful and take note. And I just think we could teach each other a lot of things if we actually listened. But as we don't listen. We hear what they're saying, but we deflect it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's fair. What do men need to take accountability for? I think men need to take more accountability of their time. I think what happens often is a man will give so much time to a woman he finds very attractive, and then when it's not reciprocated, he gets resentful. Instead of recognizing that she just wasn't interested in you in the first place. So I think that's one thing. The second thing is that
Men aren't accountable for a lot, apparently.
Well, I think they need to stop. They need to be more accountable with who they have kids with.
Yeah, true.
That's a very big one, because I think, look, no one's perfect. I get it, but like, we do hear stories about, baby mamas being like using their kids against the man and blah blah blah, and he didn't complain about the baby mama. It's like, yeah, bro, but you picked her.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you put a baby in her.
I think both women and men need to do that.
I agree.
100%. Like, you have the decision. When basically, as soon as you engage in sex, you know what the possible outcome is, because there is no contraception that is 100% safe.
No.
All there is celibacy.
Yeah.
So you either be celibate, or you go through the process and understand that a child could come at the end of it. And if this man, from my position as a woman, if this man is not capable of being a good, loving father, then I shouldn't be sleeping with him.
Yeah.
And it's equally the same on the man's part. If the woman is not capable of being able to raise a child, he shouldn't be going anywhere near her.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because it's not fair. At the end of the day, the people that suffer the most are the children that come out.
It is the children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so some people are able to suck it up and become emotionally responsible.
Yeah.
And take the slap on the wrist and get on with it and do what they need to do, what's best for the child. But there are a lot of adults out there who are acting like children, who completely jump over the child becomes invisible. Yeah. And it's just about them.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So I think, a lot.
And the third thing I would say is to being a strong male figure. I think we lack strong male role models, which is why it's provided the space for people like Andrew Tate to take that stage. And I may get slapped for this, but your masculinity is not toxic.
I think that's fair.
I think men have been told so much that masculinity is toxic. That's why we have a lack of role models. And then someone like Andrew Tate comes to the top. It's because we lack. I believe most people are good, and because of that, I believe a lot of young men have swallowed the pill of being like, the things about me that make me a man essentially are wrong. And I think it makes them unhappy, and I also think it makes their girlfriends unhappy.
100%.
I think it makes women unhappy too.
Definitely.
So
yeah. Good strong males. I agree with you on that one for sure, because there's nothing like trying to find or pursue a man and he's not manly at all.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, Paris, thank you so much for coming on your Sunday and
me.
bringing your little one as well. Quickly, where can we find you on the socials?
So the only social I have is Instagram, which is longerlegs.ig.
Longer legs, you know, it's got them long legs.
Longer legs, yeah. With a Z, not an S.
Because she's cool like that, isn't
exactly. That's pretty much it, to be honest with you. Cool. Not really on the whole social life.
That's all right. Yeah. Well, listen, we appreciate you for giving us your time and energy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Check her out on the Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next episode.
Pow.